What is up everyone? Today I'm going to show you how I built this to-do list in React, and I'm just going to show you guys how it works. If I type a task here, we'll say go to school, for example. You can see that the to-do pops up here. I can also edit the to-do, so if I click on this edit icon here, and instead of Jordan I'm just going to say LeBron and press enter, you can see it edits it right there. I can also delete a to-do as well, so if I press this trash icon, it deletes, as you can see. So that is pretty much it guys, let's jump in. Alright, so I'm in VS Code right now, and to start with we need to install Create React App. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the terminal, and here I'm going to run npx create react app and dot, which will just install all the files that we need and the packages as well. It's just going to take a minute down here. Alright, so Create React App is installed. What I'm going to do next is just add a few packages here. I need to install UUID, which will allow us to generate IDs for the project. And I'll just press enter. Next, I'm going to install Font Awesome. And I'm just going to go to the documentation here and just copy this, paste it in there. And then copy this and then paste it in there. These are the icons. You specifically want to select the free icons, of course. Alright, and lastly we're going to install the React component. So I'm just going to copy this and then just paste it there. Alright, so that's us done for the packages. I'm going to run npm start to start the development server. Alright, so there we go, it's installed. We can see it here, and I'm going to go to source and I'm going to create a folder called components. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to put all our components inside there, and I'll create a file. I'll call it todo.js. To do form.js. Edit to do form.js. And lastly, the to do wrapper. Okay, and in each of these, what I'm going to do is I'll type RAFC, right, and then press tab, which will generate the component, and I'll just do it for each of these components here. Alright, and I need to just remove some of these files here that we don't really need. So app.test, we don't need that. Index.css, we don't need that. We don't need a logo, and we don't need setup tests. In index.js, I'm just going to remove index.css, and in the app I'm just going to remove everything inside of here and remove the logo at the top. Okay, and I'm going to go to the app.js. Oh, I'm already in there. And I'm just going to install to do wrapper, or import that in, sorry. So I've got to do wrapper in here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to copy some CSS, and in app.css I've just pasted that in there. CSS isn't really our focus for today. We're more focused on the functionality. So yeah, there we go. We've got that there. All right, so let's work on the to-do form to start with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this div and I'm going to put a form tag instead. And I'll give it a class name of to-do form. All right, and inside of the form, I'm going to create an input tag with a type of text. And I'll give it a class name of to-do input. And the placeholder will be what is the task today. Okay. I'll close it there. Underneath there, I'm going to create a button. And I'll give it a type of submit. And a class name of to-do btn. Okay, and what I'm going to do is this to-do form, I'll go to to-do wrapper, and inside of this div, I'm just going to import the form. So I'll type to-do form. And we didn't import. Let me try again. To-do form, just click there. Yep, there we go. All right, so we can see it right here. And I'm just going to give this a class name of to-do wrapper. Okay, there we go. We'll go back to to-do form. And in here, I'm going to say add task. All right, so there we go. All right, so first thing we're going to do is I need to keep track of whatever the user is typing in. And for that, we need to import useState to begin with. So up here, I'll say useState. And just below the start of the function, I'll say const value, set value, and I'll make it equal to useState, which will be an empty string initially. All right. So what I need to do now is I need to actually get the user input. So on the input, I'm going to add an onChange event. And I'll make it equal to handle change. And this handle change, what I'm going to do is, instead of calling the function like that, I'm just going to create an arrow function and pass in an event. And for now, I'm just going to console.log event.target.value just to test. And if I type go shopping here, for example, and just open up the console, there we go. We can see that it's been logged to the console, which is good. Now we need to save it to the state. So instead of console.log, I'm just going to set value to be e.target.value. All right. So we've got that set up. Now we need to add a function that captures the value of the state when we submit the form. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add an event on submit, and I'll make it equal to handle submit. All right. And we need to create that function up here. So const handle submit, which will take an event. And by default, when you submit forms, the page reloads. So to prevent that, we need to add a function called prevent default. So I'll say e.prevent default. which will prevent the default action. And just to test it for now, I'm just going to console.log value. And if I type in go shopping here and enter, there we go, we can see it being logged to the console. Now the issue is we have this value here and we need to pass this value to the to-do state. And we can't keep the state in here because other components would need to access the state as well. So what we need to do is actually create that state in the parent component, which is the to-do wrapper. So here I'm just gonna put use state. We import that in, and just below here, I'm gonna say const to-dos and set to-dos. Make it equal to use state, which will be an empty array. Now, how do we pass the value from the to-do form to the to-do wrapper? Well, we have to use props. All right, so in to-do wrapper, I'm going to add a property here called add to do, right? And I'll make it equal to a function called add to do. And we need to create the function up here. So I'll say const add to do, and it will take a to do, which will be the value. All right. And what we need to do is to set to dos, and we need to make a copy of the current to dos, so the current state. So we use the spread operator, which makes a copy, and we're adding id, which will equal uuid v4, and the task will be the to do we're passing in. By default, completed will be false, and is editing will be false. All right, we actually need to import uuid. So what I'm going to do is just copy this here and just paste it here. All right, and I'm just going to call uuid v4. So I'm going to initialize it. All right, so we've created this function right here. In to do wrapper, we need to import that prop. So I'll add curly braces and put add to do. And instead of console.log here, what we need to do is add the prop, so add to do, and pass in the value. So this way we can pass the state from the to do form to the to do wrapper. And what I'm going to do here underneath the set to do is console.log to dos. So we can check if it works. And if I check in the console, let me just type something here first. Go shopping. We get an array with the values. All right, so when I submit the form, I want the value here to basically disappear. So I don't want it to still be there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to do form, and we actually forgot to put value here. So the value actually equals the value in state. So value equals value. Okay, and after we submit the form, we want to clear the form. So we'll set value to be an empty string. And if I type something in here, press enter, there we go, it clears. All right, so let me go back to do wrapper. We've got the add to do function set up. So what I want to do now is I want to be able to display the to dos we've added. So I'll go to do, and I'll give it a class name of to do, and inside of the to do I'll create a paragraph with just a random value, say go to school, and here I'll create a div where we're going to store the icons, and I'm just going to copy the code here and just paste it up here. Okay, and in here I'm gonna type font awesome icon, and icon will equal FA pen to square, and I'll just copy this right here and just paste it below, and this will point to FA trash. Okay, and I'll go to do wrapper, and underneath the to do form I'm just going to import to do, and there we go. You can see that it's displayed right there. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I need to generate a to do for each value in the state. So for that I'm just going to add some curly braces here, and I'll say todos.map, which takes a to do and an index, right? And in here I'm just gonna add the to do component. Let me just remove this one here actually, and I'll create a prop called task and make it equal to do, and I'll create a prop called key as well, which will be the index. Okay, and I'll go to do, just add some curly braces here so that we can use that prop, and add tasks. So instead of go to school here, I'm just going to pass in task.task, right? And I'll save that, and if I go back to do wrapper, so we have that there. Okay, so we have these values here. Let me just add some dummies value here. We'll say, actually we don't even need to do that, we could just add the value straight. So I'm just going to add a task. We'll say go shopping, right? So we'll say go shopping, and I'll enter. You can see the value here. Let me add another one. We'll say eat lunch. There we go. Do laundry. All right, so we have that functionality set up. Everything's good. What I'm gonna do next is here I'm just gonna add the H1. All right, so we actually should have done that at the start, but whatever, right? Get things done. Okay, and we need to be able to mark the to do as complete. So I wanted these paragraphs to sort of gray out and have like a line through it. So what I'll do is I'll go to each to do, and here I'll put class name. I'll add some curly braces, and I'll say task the completed, right? So if the task is completed, then we want the paragraph to have a class of completed. Otherwise, it should just be an empty string. Also, we need to make it so that when we actually click on it, we can apply this class, right? So what I'm going to say, I'll say I'll add an event called onClick, and I'll add an arrow function here, and I'll pass toggle complete as a prop. We need to actually create that prop, but for now I'm just going to put task.id here. All right, and I'm just going to pass toggle complete here, and I'll go back to do wrapper, and I'll put toggle complete. I'll make it equal to a function called toggle complete, and we need to create that function up here, const toggle complete, and it will take an ID, right? So ID, and what we're doing is we're setting to-dos, and we're mapping through the to-dos first. So this map will take a to-do, and we're checking if the to-do.id equals the ID we passed in. If that's the case, then we'll take a copy of that to-do, and we're going to update the completed value. So we'll say completed will equals not completed. So basically, if this is false, it'll be equal to true, and if it's true, it'll be equal to false, and vice versa. And else, if it's not equal to the ID we passed in, then we just want to return the to-do. Okay, and I think I made a mistake here. We just need to end the curly braces there, and then remove that from there. Okay. All right, so if I now click on one of these, there we go, we have that class being applied. All right, so the next step is to set up the delete function. All right, so here I'm just gonna add a property delete to do, and I'll make it equal to delete to do, right? And we need to create that function, of course. So const delete to do, which will equal ID. So we'll have the ID as a parameter, and we'll set to dos, and we'll say to dos.filter, which will take a to do. And what we're doing is we're filtering each to do that's not equal to the ID. So basically, if the to do.id is not equal to the ID we pass in, then we want to return that value. So essentially, we're just removing the to do with the ID equal to the ID we passed in. All right. Okay. And we need to go to do, and on the trash icon, I'll add an onClick event, and I'll make it equal to, we'll say delete to do. So we'll add an arrow function here, and we'll say delete to do, and we'll pass in task.id. Okay, and we'll add delete to do here. All right, so now what I want to do is when I click on this edit icon right here, I want the form to show up so that I can update the to-do value. So to start with, I'm just gonna add an event here. So on click, there'll be an arrow function, and I'm just gonna say edit to do, which will take, I don't know why it keeps doing that, edit to do, we'll take task.id. Let me just edit all this. Okay, and we're just gonna pass the prop here. So edit to do, and we'll go to do wrapper and create that prop. So edit to do will equal edit to do function, and I'll create the function up here. So const edit to do, we're passing in an ID, and what we're doing is we're setting the to-dos, and inside of here we'll say to-dos.map, which will take a to-do, and we're checking if to-do.id is equal to the ID we passed in. So if we're making a copy of the to-do, by using the spread operator right here. And what we're saying is editing should be not to-do.isEditing. So it should be the opposite of whatever the current value is. Okay, and if the to-do.id is not equal to the ID we pass in, then we just want to return that to-do value. And I think I made a mistake again. It should be like this. Okay. All right, so if we click on one of these. All right. So we need to actually set up the edit to do form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy everything inside of to do form and I just paste it in edit to do form. And instead of to do form here, I'm just going to say edit to do form, and the value is good. Here, instead of what is the task today, I'm just going to say update task, and instead of add task, just be update task. Okay, and this is fine. Add to do's. Oh yeah, so instead of add to do, we want it to be edit to do, which will take a value, and we're going to pass in task.id. And up here, instead of add to do, I'm going to say edit to do, and I'm going to pass in the task prop as well. Okay, and if I go to do wrapper, so what we want to say is if isEditing is true, then we want to display the edit to do form, and if it's not, we just want to display just these regular to do's right here. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to say isEditing if, then we want the edit to do form to pop up, else we just want the to do component to be displayed. And it says isEditing is not defined, to do.isEditing. There we go. I'm just gonna reload the page for now. Let me add a task, so eat lunch, go shopping, and if I click this here, there we go. Okay, now we want to set up the function that we defined here. So edit to do, I want to say edit to do, and edit to do will equal a function called edit tasks. Let's just call it edit task, and I'll say task will equal to do. Okay, so here we need to create that function edit task, and it's going to take in an task and an ID as parameters, and we're setting the to-dos. We're going to map through the to-dos, which takes a to-do, and we're basically checking if to-do.id equals the ID we passed in. If this is the case, then we're just going to make a copy of the to-do using the spread operator, and we're going to update tasks to be the task passed in, and isEditing, we're going to make it not to do isEditing. So the opposite of the current value, and if the ID isn't equal to to-do.id, then we just want to return to do. Okay, and let me actually reload the page. Let me start again. So eat lunch, go shopping, and if I click this edit icon right here, all right, so we actually want the value to show up here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to edit to do form, and by default the value will be task.task, and there we go. Okay, and let me just reload it just in case it messed it up. Eat lunch, go shopping, and we'll click this here, say go shopping and walk dog. If I press enter, there you go, you can see the value has been updated, and that should be it for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.